Now, the Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has offered large bounties for the leaders of Islamic State fighters holding parts of a southern city, as the military warns its recapture may take longer than expected. 2 weeks on, and hundreds of civilians remain trapped in the besieged city of Marawi after gunfire disrupted a 4-hour truce to evacuate them. Well, the fighting has left more than 170 dead, including at least 20 civilians. The BBC's Jonathan Head reports.
This is Marawi today, a city abandoned by its people, a battleground.
This is as far as we can safely go in Marawi. The city centre is about 2 kilometres down in that direction, and all around here you can see the scars of battle on the buildings. The city the government thought it could retake in just 3 days is still not under their control nearly 2 weeks later. It's clear they've badly underestimated both the strength and the numbers of the insurgents.
And there are civilians who've been trapped in insurgent-held areas. This group has just escaped after hiding for 11 days. Most of them are Christians. The militants would have killed them. And Parola Sola is one of them. She has 6 young children. With little food to eat, they're now showing signs of malnutrition and need treatment in hospital.
There was one time at night we heard the fighters banging on the wall at the back of the building. My children were crying. The people we were with were getting angry. They were afraid that the militants would hear them. I didn't say anything to them, but my heart was aching. I could do nothing.
All these evacuees have stories to tell. This woman hid in a basement, listening to the gunmen walking above her. A mother who persuaded the Maute group not to take her 14-year-old son. A woman who lay in a bathtub with her children to protect them from the airstrikes. But the most inspiring story is that of the people who saved them. Noruddin Alonto Lukman is a respected Muslim community leader known to the Maute group, who sheltered 71 Christians in his home and stopped the militants from finding them.
The second time they came back with the Maranao commander, he knows me personally, he knows my family.
But he's a member of the Maute group?
Of course, he's a ranking member of the Maute group. And from then on, nobody bothered me. Our only concern is the bombs falling near the houses and the firefights that took place near our house.
The army thinks it has Marawi encircled now. Checkpoints laboriously match ID cards to the wanted posters you see everywhere. But the Maute group has survived heavy losses before. Even after the Battle of Marawi is over, it could still strike again. Jonathan Head, BBC News, the Southern Philippines.
Now we're going to go back to our story that we brought you with Jonathan Head. We're returning to the Philippines and the security problems there. We heard from Jonathan. Well, he joins us now from Mindanao. Jonathan, obviously a desperate state for the hundreds of civilians who are trapped in the besieged city of Marawi.
Yes, I mean, in many ways, the most urgent problem in Marawi is the humanitarian one, because they simply don't know how many people are stuck inside the city. If they're Christians, they're extremely vulnerable because the militants are likely to kill them if they find them. They don't have food or water. The ones we met at the weekend were already desperate. We're now several days later. There are also large numbers of people who may have fled in the other direction, in areas where they won't be getting any kind of assistance. That is a matter of urgency, but the military has a bigger challenge. That is that they cannot dislodge the militants from the commercial heart of the city. They have been bombing every day. Up to now, they say they've avoided things like bombing mosques, but they clearly feel that at some point they may have to escalate that operation, which risks very large-scale damage to the only truly Islamic city in the Philippines. And then beyond that, they have this extremely serious problem about how do they deal with this spread of militancy, of this loyalty to Islamic State. The numbers of fighters who've come from many different areas to join this operation and their determination to fight to the death have really shocked the Philippines. And this is really in some ways an unprecedented crisis for the country.
Unprecedented, but it looks like that these militants, they're really planning for a long siege. They're hiding in tunnels, in basements, they're stockpiling supplies. They're in it for the long haul.
They are, and of course they're following the Islamic State template of trying to establish territory, of taking control of territory and doing something spectacular which they hope will bring in more recruits. And there are lots of Islamic State sympathizers in neighboring countries like Indonesia and Malaysia. It's something that not just the Philippines but the entire region is having to look at right now.
OK, well, Jonathan, thank you so much for bringing that to us. Jonathan Head there from Mindanao, thank you very much. Of course, we'll continue to monitor all of that for you. You can get in touch with me and the team on Twitter. But for the time being, as always, thank you very much for joining us here